Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's head-to-head comparison, let's take a look at the 2025 Volkswagen Taos and the 2025 Hyundai Kona. I borrowed the Hyundai from FOURR Hyundai of Statesville, so take a look at their website down in the description, along with the full details reviews that we have made on both of these models. So let's move on to the starting MSRPs, where the Volkswagen start at $24,900 and the Hyundai starts at $24,500. In today's review, the Volkswagen is closer to $36,000 versus $33,000 for the Hyundai. So these are similarly spec'd. Now for the Volkswagen, this is powered by a 1.5 liter 4-cylinder turbo. It's paired to an 8-speed automatic. It pumps out 174 horsepower, 184 pound-feet of torque. The Hyundai has two different engine options. This model here has the 1.6 liter 4-cylinder turbo paired to an 8-speed automatic, and it pumps out 190 horsepower, 195 pound-feet of torque. Now both of these are all-wheel drive. For the Hyundai, you can't get front-wheel drive with the Limited. For the Volkswagen, you do have to get a different trim level in order to get front-wheel drive. We do have similar curb weights. The Volkswagen weighs in around 3,400 pounds versus 3,500 pounds for the Kona. And then 0 to 60 is going to be around 7 seconds for the Volkswagen, 7.5 for the Kona. And they both share the same MPG, 24 miles per gallon in the city and 29 out on the highway. Now, moving on to the exterior styling, you'll notice there's a big difference. For the Volkswagen, the distance pacing sensor is the Volkswagen badge itself. There's also parking sensors up front, lots of cutouts, very large lower section for that grille there, and then LEDs, of course, with the DRL strip that goes all the way through that middle upper trim accent, which gives it a great look. Now you also get that over on the Hyundai. It's just this entire strip by itself in the upper section, where this model has a forward-facing camera. You get the sensor, all of the parking sensors too, and then you'll notice a different design for the headlights. They are mounted in the middle section there, and then you do have some large cutouts in the lower section to provide additional cooling when needed. So we have a much different front end design. You have more prominent hood lines versus two thinner lines for the Hyundai. Now working our way to the side, these both have 19-inch wheels, which is an option. As you can tell, they have a much different look. You'll notice both of these do have plastic for the fender arches, along with the side skirts. We have body-colored side mirrors, where you do get a camera and a turn signal for the Hyundai. You just have the mirror for this particular Volkswagen. And then as we take a step back and look at their side designs, you have a lot more angles and edges in the Hyundai versus that crisp line that runs right through the middle of the Volkswagen. So they do have very different side designs. They both have roof racks, however, and then up top you get a full moonroof for the Volkswagen versus just a sunroof for the Hyundai there. Now, working our way to the back, you'll notice that the trim accent underneath the windows goes all the way up to the spoiler and back, where there's a third brake light, wiper blades in the lower section. There's a very thin line for the LEDs in back to match up front. You get a backup camera, all the parking sensors, and then this also has the hands-free option, so you can kick up underneath, or you can use that button or the button on the key fob, of course, to gain access to the interior. Where for being a smaller size vehicle, there's actually a good bit of space. When you open up the floor too, you have a little bit of storage. You might be able to place a spare there as well and attach that. And then you can fold the back seats down. You can actually reach from here to do that, just to get a little bit more space. And then you have the button up top. You can kick up underneath in order to close that if you need to. And then a really cool feature that the Hyundai has that the Volkswagen does not is the Smart Park Assistance. So with the remote start, I've already started up the vehicle, and then it can hold forwards or back and actually move the vehicle without getting into it. So if you're in a really tight parking space or something like that, you can use this as a cool party trick too. You can move the vehicle, which is not new from Hyundai, but for the pricing, it's definitely cool to see that. And then you can use the hold button to shut it off and you're ready to go. Now over on the Volkswagen, you'll notice that trim accent stops at the back of the window. And then we have a much larger spoiler, larger third brake light, wiper blade is in the lower section too. You get LEDs with a little bit larger of a bar in the back, backup camera, all the parking sensors, and then this model does not have a power operating liftgate, so you do have to lift it up, where you probably have about the same amount of storage, to be honest. You do get the spare tire and a little bit of extra space. You can reach in, grab these seats and fold them down. So as far as being able to reach in, it seems to be about the same length. So for these smaller vehicles, you have a good bit of cargo space in the back. Now let's work our way to the back seats, where the interiors will vary just depending on the trim level, of course, and the options that you go with. This model has a really nice two-tone design here. And at 5'10", I have a good bit of space. You get storage pockets, you get vents, along with a little bit of storage and one USB-C there. And at my height, I have maybe 2 inches or so of headroom. Now these seats are fixed. They don't recline, but they're angled back slightly just to give you a good, comfortable seat. And right in the middle, you have cup holders, you have the armrest, and you can even open this up and gain access to the rear cargo space. And then you have a large window right here in order to see around that pillar in the back. Now, working our way to the Hyundai, for this interior, we have a very nice design. You get a little bit of storage down below, and then everything is the same color for this model. Actually, a really nice spec with this bright orange. Now in back, you get one storage pocket, you get 2 USB-Cs, a little bit of storage with the vents there, and at my height, I'd say I have about the same. Maybe a little bit less headroom, but I'm not touching the headliner, so I can sit upright. These seats appear to be fixed as well, but they are angled slightly back just to give you that comfortable feel. Now you also have 2 cup holders with the armrest, and it looks like we have a 60-40 split. So this middle seat will fold down with this driver's side here, so you can't fold that down individually. These windows are a little bit smaller, but you can still see pretty good. Now up front, you'll notice all the window controls, side mirror adjustments, more storage down below, and then a power operating driver's seat. Now we'll go through this pretty quickly since we have the full detailed reviews. But for this model, over on the left side, you have some cruise control settings, you have lane keeping assist, distance pacing, all of your audio adjustments, favorites, Bluetooth, voice commands, things like that. And then by using the controls on the left side, you can go through information within the digital gauge cluster. So you can even scroll through all of this, so you have all of these vitals that you can pull up and get through that information. And the rest of it is going to be fixed for your miles per hour, and then your tach, engine temperature, things like that. Now to the left, you have the hood release. There's also a hold button for the power liftgate. You have the e-brake. There's also traction control, a downhill assist, dimmer switches for the gauges, and then no head-up display for this model. With the infotainment system now, you can go through this either using the screen itself, so it is a touch screen system, where you have a lot of different icons that you can swipe through and get into, or you can use the controls down below. So you can use all of these physical buttons in order to get through all this information. It gives you a pretty good readout for all of that. And then there's engine start stop, and you have the stalk for your gear selector. So by twisting it forwards, that is for drive. Twist it backwards for reverse, where you have the top down view. You can even get to the 360 view here and swipe around the entire vehicle. And then you have different settings that you can go into, and park is located on the end of that stalk. Now there's also another LCD screen for all the climates. So you have your temperature, fan speed, where you'd like the air to go, sync. You can get into some defrosters as well. You have automatic settings there. And then you also have some USB-Cs along with wireless charging down below. This model comes with heated and ventilated seats. You get a heated steering wheel. You have a camera system that you can get into just by pushing on that to view. And then you do have different driving modes. You have normal and sport there. There's also auto hold. You have a lot of space down below, and you have cup holders that will appear. So when you need to use those, you can pop them out, and then you can get some more space. And it looks like you have a little bit of storage in the center armrest. Now you also have a tray up top, some more storage in the glove box there. You get garage door buttons, and then you have dome lights and controls for the sunshade and sunroof, as those are both power operating. And then take a look at that small window right there. You can still see around. So it's nice that it is there and available to give you some good visibility. Now, as we work our way over to the Volkswagen, this interior has a very nice design to it. You'll notice you have your window controls, side mirror adjustments, storage down below. These mirrors are also heated too, so that is a plus. You get automatic front seats with a nice design. And then for this, that button is located down below to start this up. Now on this left side, you have your cruise control, lane keeping assist, distance pacing, volume, and then you have the heated steering wheel button on the steering wheel, and then tuning controls, and then the rest of the adjustments to go through this screen here. So I'd say you have maybe a little bit more information that you can go through within the system. You can even pull up the navigation too, and you have different views depending on how you want to look at this information. So slightly more configurable. just depending on the information that you would like to see. Now on this left side, you only get headlight adjustments. There's also one air vent, no head-up display for this model either, and then you have a smaller infotainment system here. But you still have a good bit that you can go through just by going in menu here. You have several icons that you can get into along with the car. You can also adjust the digital gauge cluster depending on what information you would like to view, and you also have some more driving information that you can go through. So it's a little bit more configurable on the Hyundai for the infotainment system, and then vice versa for the gauge cluster there. Now there's air vents underneath that, and then all the climate adjustments are laid out very nicely. Now this model also has heated and ventilated seats. You have temperatures, fan speed, where you'd like the air to go. Everything's laid out very well. You get auxiliaries and wireless charging, and then you have more of a traditional gear selector in the middle. Now this model only has a backup camera, so that is the only view that you get. You can, however, use this to shift as well if you need to. Now there's the engine start stop, you have parking sensors, the e-brake. You do have a few different driving modes for this model. So you have eco, normal, sport, and custom, and you can also go through an off-road setting too with the all-wheel drive system and the snow mode there. You get a little bit of storage down below along within the center armrest. There's no storage above the glove box. And then you have the rear view mirror, dome lights, and adjustments for the sunshade and sunroof. Both of those are automatic as well. And as you can tell, that is a larger window right there. So you can see just a little bit more. You really can't see that window from the driver's seat, however, but at least over your right shoulder, you have a little bit more visibility than the window there. So with the exteriors and interiors wrapped up for both of these models, let's get them out on the road and see how they drive. And so we'll start off behind the wheel for the Hyundai Kona. I forgot to mention this does also have paddle shifters. We're in sport mode, second gear. Here's a mild acceleration. And we're up to speed. Again, I know that was a minor acceleration, but we did have a Kona for a while, so you can take a look at those full detailed reviews for even more driving impressions. But these are definitely fun vehicles. They have a sporty feel to them, and they definitely have an adequate amount of power to get up and move. So for its smaller size with this turbo, I think it's very adequate for what it has to offer. And it's a very smooth vehicle. The one that we drove, we were in it about 8 hours for one day on a road trip. So again, take a look at those videos, and it seemed to be a really good road tripping type of vehicle. Not very large, but for its size, you can fit in a lot of people, a lot of equipment, everything that we had for the day, we were able to put in these vehicles and drive them around. So it's definitely a good city vehicle with its size. It was great for highway cruising and things like that as well. You have a lot of tech features here, a lot of physical buttons, which I know a lot of people really like. And Hyundai was able to give you that large curved screen without it only being a touchscreen system. They have kept all of the physical buttons there that a lot of people like. So it's laid out very well, easy to use, but it's also going to provide you with a great ride. So it's very comfortable. For its pricing too, it doesn't seem too loud or anything like that. It definitely has a good feel to it. Even some of these bumps here, I mean, it's what you would expect really in most vehicles, but seating position is really good. You do have a height adjustment, so that way you can raise this as needed. I have about 2 inches or so above my head, so at 5'10", you have some wiggle room with your height if you're any taller than me. Paddles are also pretty responsive too. It's nice that it shows you what gear you are in and what gear you need to go into, depending on how you are driving. And you also get the camera system and the gauge cluster. I did forget to mention that. When you put on your turn signal, you can see left or right, so that kind of makes up for that rear cargo window being a little bit on the small side, so you can avoid blind spots with technology features like that, which is really nice to see. And so jumping into the Taos now, sport mode, second gear, here we go. Now we can use the shifter, so you have that if and when you need to. Most likely you won't be using it, but it just gives it a little bit more of a sporty feel being able to do that. But this has been a very nice vehicle. Now this is one that I have had for the week, so I have some more seat time behind the wheel and just being familiar with this vehicle and how it drives and everything. I think it's a very nice option to go with. As you can tell with some of the other competitors, there are different options and things just depending on, you know, your budget and what you like. This vehicle seems to be very comfortable. I haven't had any issues with putting some miles on it, you know, it's in a really good spot. We have the height adjustment for the seat. So I have about 4 inches or so of headroom at my height, 5'10". So you can adjust that just depending on your height, of course. It's also been very maneuverable too. So for its smaller size, it's very easy to park and just drive in general, but it offers a lot of space for its smaller size, and it has a lot of pickup to it as well. So definitely a great option to go with. Again, check out the full detailed review for more driving impressions for this model. So coming back to final thoughts now between the Volkswagen Taos and the Hyundai Kona. Like I mentioned in the full review for the Volkswagen, I wish it had a little bit more horsepower or torque like the Kona. So for this engine, I think you get that added power that just makes it a little bit more sporty and to be able to get up to speed and feel a little bit quicker. Even though the 0 to 60 times are kind of similar, it's a little bit slower, which is interesting to see. Both of these though are going to provide you with a really nice ride. I think you get a lot more tech features in the Hyundai over the Volkswagen, 360 camera, things like that. You get a little bit more modern of an interior with that large curved screen, but that's not for everyone either. So if you want more of that old school technology with the dual screen setup like the Volkswagen, you have a great option there. You have a great option with the Hyundai too. Between the two, I do like some of the features on the Hyundai a little bit more, but I've been driving the Volkswagen for a solid week, and I think it's a really nice vehicle. So you can't go wrong with either one. Mainly just depends on the exterior styling that you like better, along with the interior technology and features. So comment down below, which model would you rather have, the Volkswagen or the Hyundai? Let me know your thoughts. And if you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.